Hello everyone. So we left Russia to move to other countries to not get mobilized, and now I am in Turkey with my family, my child and my wife. So in Turkey, what's called now Türkiye, we had to rent an apartment for 1 year and we paid for 6 months. As well, we bought furniture and we wanted to live here and to apply for the residence. Recently, something changed in the law and we are not sure that we will get the residence, despite doing everything correctly, because to get the residence, you had at least before just to rent an apartment for 1 year and to apply for that. But by the end of the year 2022, a lot of refusals were to Russians who applied for residence. I think the same about other immigrants from other countries. I mean, they refused them despite renting an apartment and despite doing everything correctly. So we did everything correctly. We gathered the documents, we made the contract, we paid for the apartment, we did everything right, but we are still not sure about getting the residence here or not. As you know, Russia is under sanctions and the Russian citizens aren't accepted everywhere. So I learned about many countries, how to get the visa there, how to get the residence, because I'm kind of experienced now how to move from one country to another. Because in fact, we didn't move right away from Russia to Turkey. We moved to Georgia and you can see that in this video. Then we moved to Dubai because I was promised work that I didn't get there, and from Dubai we went to Turkey. We chose Turkey because it's one of the cheapest countries to live in. And that's true, we rented an apartment for only $236 a month. So we paid about $1,400 to rent the apartment for 6 months, plus a deposit was taken from the owner in the amount of 1 month. That means another $200. Another deposit was taken by the agency and that's another $200. And another deposit was taken as well by the owner because he made for us all the bills, electricity and gas and all this stuff. So the total of $2,000 was paid, but we lived only about 2 months. So we have still 4 months that's paid, and we can't live here if the residence will be refused. As well, we bought the furniture for about $700 and other stuff like a bicycle for the kid and other dishes and everything. It costed about $1,000 the total. So about $3,000 we paid just to stay here, and we start even gathering money for the second 6 months to keep staying here. I mean, we can't just give up on that money and leave. Of course, in the contract they can't have that we can re-rent it to other people. But anyway, we will be losing a lot. And who knows if we will find someone to rent, because in case of the refusal we have 10 days to leave. That's why I am looking now for the information about other countries. But while looking for the information about other countries, I see that even in other countries it's not that easy to get the residence. So at least I have one chance to stay here. We have one chance to stay here with my wife and child, and that's to apply for refugees. So there are a lot of kinds of refugees. One of them is the conditional refugee. So let's read about that. This status is assigned to a foreigner who has a justified fear of violence and harassment due to a political crisis. And we have a political crisis in Russia. People are being taken to the war that they don't want to participate in, or in connection with the actions of a group that is a source of racial religious threat, as well as due to other events taking place outside European countries. And Russia is outside of the European country. As a result of which this person lives outside your country. In addition, this status is assigned to a person who cannot avail himself of the protection of his country, or who does not wish to avail himself of the protection due to the threats and the fear mentioned above, or to stateless person who was outside his country before the occurrence of these events, or who is unable to return to his country, or who is unwilling to return because of the fear and threat present. This status is assigned after the completion of the necessary procedures. So we are afraid and we don't want to go back. So all these stuff are applicable to us, even if there is no war yet in Russia itself. But we are afraid. Our freedom is kind of harassed, and we have a political crisis. I am telling that because some people that said that Russians aren't refugees and they don't have a war in their country, but I consider this a war. So Turkey accepted the Governor Convention of 1951, using its right to choose the place provided in paragraph 1, subject to the geographical limitation. Accordingly, a conditional refugee is a person who applies for international protection from Turkey in order to then move to asylum in a third country, claiming to have refugee status due to event taking place outside European countries. I don't know if refugee could live here and rent at the same time or not. Let me know about that. But depending on this, I have to apply for asylum for another country to be here temporary. But I'm okay to stay in Turkey. I like it here. And I rented an apartment for 6 months. You can say I have the contract for 1 year. So maybe this is a solution for me. Let me read more about the refugees in Turkey. So in the last 10 years, refugees in Turkey constitute the largest number of immigrants. The government of the country is seriously puzzled as the flow of immigrants does not decrease. So they have a lot of immigrants here, and of course I understand them how it's hard for them, because they have immigrants from a lot of countries, like from Syria and more from Afghanistan and other countries. So they have to deal with a lot of papers and with a lot of people, citizens of which countries can apply for political asylum and refugee status. So Bloomberg has released the material that talks about the record number of refugees accepted by Turkey from 2001 to 2023. During this period, the country admits more than 7.5 million people. The first wave of refugees came at the time the NATO invasion of Afghanistan. 2 years later, the Americans launched a military campaign in Iraq. And in 2011, civil wars began in Libya and Syria, known as Arab Spring. Those for many years stable flow Afghans, Iraqis, Libyans, Syrians formed. It is these citizens who can apply for the corresponding status in the first place. But I consider ourselves are very in need to apply for that as well. So Turkey attitude toward immigrants, it's good attitude. Despite even if they will refuse us, even if we'll not stay here, I will not talk badly about Turkey because I like it here. So they can help immigrants a lot. So there are stages of asylum. I translated this website to English from Russian. So what are the steps here written? Like, you have to have an interview with them, then you have to wait what they decide, then you go with your fingerprint, then you have to go there each 2 weeks you have to go there to immigrant apartment to sign something. Then you have to have the status of the refugee. Then you have to make a picture, and you will have a special ID for refugee. After 6 months of this procedure, and I am ready for it, you can have the residence, and then you can have the limited residence. So in case you are a refugee, what you can get? You can leave the village you want, you can get a job, you can open a bank account, you can apply for studying here, you take out an insurance policy, interact with social services, and a lot of good things. So the documents that are required are easy. Just you write this application, then some copy of passport, pictures, they take your, I don't know, their voice, etc, etc. They take your a copy maybe of your passport, and you have to prove that you can, you can survive here. Here is it: questionnaire statements, general passport and its copy, for photograph, biometric data, passport, documents that confirm reliability of living in the homeland. So these all details are taken from visasam.ru website. So what are the rights of refugees? The Turkish Ministry of Health provides services to refugees free of charge. To do this, you must write an application to the Department for Foreigners and indicate the need for medical assistance. The department will issue a referral to the regional hospital. Refugees are regularly provided with material assistance in the form of organic food and fuel cards. In addition, the displaced persons receive an allowance for basic necessary and clothing. The issue of social assistance is managed by the Social Fund, which has branches in each municipality. Internally displaced persons are obliged to apply to general educational institutions to enroll their children ages 6-14 years old. Older refugees can either college or university on a general basis. To get a job, you need to obtain permission from the Ministry of Labor. If you work by qualification, you will need to confirm your diploma. This is a complex and lengthy procedure. Some wait for a response for about a year. And there are responsibilities of refugees. A forced migrant is obliged to notify the Migration Department about the change of the permanent place of residence. Otherwise, it's a violation. 2 months before the expiration of the residence permit, the refugee is obliged to notify the Migration Department and apply for external status, etc. So I think it's the only way for us to stay here and to not lose the money we already paid. I don't see another solution yet. At least we can do this now in this 4 months and then see. But anyway, let me know in the comments where refugees have to go and where it's better to seek asylum, and what do you think about our situation and what is the solution. Thank you for watching. See you in my next videos, and goodbye.